Hello and welcome to week 11. The time is going by fast. So today we're going to be covering kind of like a hodgepodge and just kind of cleaning up some things. So that's why we have this, because everything is chaotic right now. And it's just the way the class is. There's not a lot of requirements. There's just a lot of small little things that you got to take care of. Nothing really that requires a bunch of work in terms of like computationally thinking and hard research, but still enough that you got to kind of track a lot of moving parts. And sometimes that's just the way the business world is too. Sometimes there's a lot of little miscellaneous projects that are just, a nightmare to track. And sometimes it's one or two big long projects that take months to complete. So first story of the day is that I was working on building you guys an LLM, a fine-tuning model. Basically, you could take this code and take either Google Gemini or Llama or something and basically fine-tune it. And I had 10 notebooks. I got it down to 2 that I kind of liked, that were pretty easy for you to understand. And it was still taking a long time. And it's such a nightmare. And just nothing but problems. 2 days of kind of like trying to make it as simple and as clean as possible without much luck. Then I realized 2 things: that hey, I should just go on Hugging Face and search for fine tuning, which I did, and we got a beautiful code, which I'm going to show you here in a second. And then I could just use MyGPTs, because MyGPTs are probably going to be the future of it. So let me explain this for a second. So as a business major, you're not a CS, you're not a programmer. My job's not to program and understand algorithms 24 hours a day. My job as a data scientist is to have enough programming skills to get me to my goal. I have to have enough programming skills to get me to my goal. As a race car driver, your job's not to rebuild the engine, not to rebuild the transmission. Your job as a race car driver is to take the tools, or to take the race car and know the race car well enough that it can get you to first place in theory. Okay? Now, there's mechanics that know 10 times more about the engine than race car drivers do. But as a driver, your job is to take all these tools and have at least a fundamental understanding of them and be able to get to the goal. I think ChatGPT, or MyGPT, I think is what they're called, is a much more modern way of doing fine-tuning than traditional. Even though it's not really fine-tuning, same thing, it gets what people want for fine-tuning much, much quicker, much easier. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. ChatGPT 5 is coming out this summer. There's a lot of changes coming on. And I think a lot of manual coding is not going to be as prevalent as it is now. Okay, so let's go into this a little bit. So, real quick, here is a fine-tuning notebook that I'm running. Okay. And you see it's been running over an hour. It's just a little notebook. I'll show you actually how I made this, because there's a Hugging Space that makes this. And this is running on an A100. Okay, so it's not like it's running on A100 cost. The zone price $10,000 and up. So let's see. The $7,000. That's not bad, I guess. I mean, if you guys have $8,000 to spend on what is going on here? Let's see here. Reload. So there's an A100 40 gigs for just under $8,000. And they're about 10 grand each. And so I've been using one of these for a few hours to train an LLM I was going to show you in class. And this is the whole reason that I kind of said, hey, you know what? I don't want to do it this method. Now, I probably could stop right now because it's not getting any better. But it shows you how long and how much power fine-tuning can take. Now, there are other ways to do it. There's Flash, and there's a couple of cheats that you can do to make fine-tuning a little bit better. But it's, fine-tuning a big model can be computationally expensive. It doesn't always have to be, but it can be. And using MyGPTs is much, much more efficient, much easier. So let's dive into this. So the general idea of what I want to do is I want to take some of the information I can find at UNLV and make a GPT out of it. So what information am I talking about? So how about the UNLV Graduate Assistant Handbook? How about the UNLV Graduate Student student handbook. Yeah, there we go. So you have the graduate assistant handbook. You have the graduate student handbook. Slightly different here. Yeah, just this thing. Let's see here. So graduate assistant is somebody that's paid by UNLV and they work 20 hours a week and they get classes and they get some money. This is just like the students like me, you, everyone else, okay? So I can download their PDFs. I can just download these, and I can also download some program documentation. And that's what I did. So right up in here, UNLV Handbook. So here's your Graduate Assistant Handbook. Here is a PA or MS of Data Analytics. Here is the MS PhD in Computer Science. What else do we have? I know I grabbed the neuroscience. I think I grabbed history just as like a comparison. Okay. So basically what I'm going to do is go right here. I'm going to use one I already created, but I can just go explore GPTs and let's go create. And last time I did it all by hand. Let's just do it all automatically, and I'm not going to do this. I want to build a ChatGPT for UNLV graduate students. You go on, it will ask you questions. The thing is, you can upload documents here. Let me show you that here. So there's my favorite one. You don't know jack about. Oh, so here, 1 second. Okay, this one. So I have right now your knowledgeable guide specifically tailored to graduate students at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. You provide detailed information, blah, blah, blah. So I have the MBA program handbook, the MS PhD handbook. So I can make this a little bit bigger. There we go. PhD neuroscience. So the documents I showed you. Okay. I really don't need to do images. Let's see, maybe do this. I don't know, right? I guess we do that. It doesn't really matter. Let me hit update. And then copy link. Let's load it. But now let's also compare it to just like a normal GPT. So here's regular old-fashioned ChatGPT. What are the classes? What do I need to do to apply for the PhD program in history? And let me do the same thing here. Let's close this out. Well, the thing is going, you see, hey, so I kept a very general prompt. I didn't say anything about UNLV. Same prompt, both machines. This one is very, very focused. So, hey, you must, your application must be done by February 1. You maybe have to apply for funding. You have to have, if you do additional employment, it cannot exceed 10 hours a week. So it's very specific. So this, not so much so. What are the milestones for the neuroscience PhD program? Cut. Okay, so grant application by year 1 or 2, proposal qualifying activity. See, this is just kind of, like I know that UNLV right now does not have any lab rotation, so this does not provide me accurate information. Okay, so you can see why fine-tuning can be important. And so I, right now in, I don't know, 20 minutes, created a GPT, a chatbot, whatever you want to call it, that is very accurate and very relevant to students. Okay, so This GPT right now can tell you, hey, here you got to do the qualifying activity by the end of spring of year 3. You have to propose a dissertation. The general GPT, not so much. Like, we don't have any teaching experience requirements. Some programs you have to teach, some programs you don't. UNLV, nope, nothing about that. So now where it gets really neat is things like this. Can you make me well, here, let's do this. Can you compare, let's do a misspelling because I can never spell right, post-baccalaureate to post-masters in the PhD of whatever, science. What are the main differences? Now this is cool, but also check this out. Can you make me a table comparing a PhD in CS, PhD in history, and a PhD in neuro. Brief, and only compare the main differences. So yeah, this all looks like it's right. Okay, so you can make tables. So since this is kind of this fine tuning of a GPT, I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger so we can kind of focus on it. Actually, we'll just make it big all the way. There we go. So you can see why this is advantageous. You know, as a small business owner, maybe you have internal policies you want to put up there. Maybe you want to share this only some of your customers. You know, there's a lot of different reasons to fine-tune a model. There's and traditionally, you know, doing this method, it's more complex. There are some pros and cons of doing it manually. But I mean, it's been going for almost 2 hours. And like I said, I could have stopped it a while ago, but you know, it's going now, so there's no going back. So this took 5 minutes. There's my nice little table. What I want to know in detail who to contact for each of the programs. Look at that. Gives me an email I can contact for the PhD of Computer Science, the PhD of History. They don't have an email, but let's say with a PhD in Neuroscience, right there, Joel Snyder, and the PhD in Computer Science, Liam. But I mean, phone number. I mean, so this is where I think a lot of the future of fine-tuning is going to be. You have these generalized LLMs. You're going to kind of fine-tune them to your need, and boom, you're good to go. Because anybody could just upload 10 documents. I think that's where the ChatGPT limits it right now, 10 documents, and boom, you have that right there. Okay, so, you know, it's hard for me to teach you this huge fine-tuning model and other things when I don't know how relevant it's going to be in 5 years. So let me show you how I made that other notebook, because this might be interesting to you too. So literally, I don't know if it was GitHub or somewhere, I downloaded a couple notebooks, got them working, and I'm like, yeah, they're okay. They're kind of heavy, meaning that they were just kind of hard to understand. So I literally went to Spaces on Hugging Face and typed fine-tuning just to see what was out there. Oops, if I could spell tonight. Fine-tuning. And so I just started clicking on them, and I think the very first one, I'm like, oh, notebook generator, interesting. You click on that, and it literally tells you, hey, what model do you want to train? So let's say I want to do Facebook's. What version of Facebook's? What data set do I want to train it on? Random seed. We always use 103 for me, 'cause that way I know what I'm doing. Now you can't run Flash, you can't do this on Colabs. If you're running on your local machine, you probably can, but Colabs doesn't support this. Maybe change a few other things. Hey, maybe you want a little slower dropout rate for your low rank adaption, whatever LoRa is. What optimizers you want, where you want to save it, output, fine-tuned, something like that. You know, maybe you want to send it to the report to AWS or to Azure or none, to weights and balances, which is really cool. But hey, so real simple. There's your notebook. Oh, hey, you know what? I want to train it a little bit more. Where is my epochs? Right there. So maybe I want to do 5, and then just hit generate, and it makes a whole little notebook that you can see right here. You literally copy, or not copy, you can just download it right here, and then upload that to Google Drive or to Colabs. That's what's running in the background right now. So that, you know, I should have looked at that a day ago and it would have made life a lot easier. But even then, this much work compared to a GPT is still a lot of work. So like I said, that's why I want to really show you the GPT method, because I think that's going to be super important. Okay, so we got that, GPTs. Okay, so LM Studio. There's a program I've been using a little bit, and like I said, I don't really support any sponsoring programs, or, you know, talk about Alteryx. I don't really support or sponsor. Nobody pays me for anything, okay, except for to teach. And it's important to understand the concept and the idea. And some programs come and go, and some programs stay forever. So, like GitHub, you know, there used to be other tools before GitHub. Can't think of them. SVM. There was a couple other open source kind of tools where you could check in, check out repositories, but GitHub won, and GitHub's just stayed around. One of the last, well, I guess 3 jobs ago, I had to use another one of the source control managements, and it worked. It wasn't as good as GitHub. So that's why I want you to learn the concept. I want you to learn the idea, not necessarily the program. This is a cool program. So the really cool thing about this is a few students have hit me up and asked me, hey, can I run an LLM locally if I want to? Yes. This will make life 10 times easier for you to run it locally. So this program, and if you guys want, I can give you a video or two on this. It basically tells you, hey, what model, the size of it. You know, here's a Google's Gemma 2 billion tune. So it takes about, I think, 8 gigs of RAM. Well, I already got downloaded. So this one requires 8 gigs of RAM, and you can learn a little bit more about it. Like here's Hugging Faces 4.0, whatever, Zypher. So you can hit download, and it downloads the model to your local machine. You can do other models. So here's a finance model. I know somebody was interested in doing finance. Okay, you can get the model card. You can, you can offload it to your GPU, full GPU offload possible. You can download just this one. I mean, there's a ton of things you can do. You can run multiple, as you saw how I had 2 windows, one for traditional GPT and one for ChatGPT. One's like the fine-tune, one's the non-fine-tune. This you can do the same thing. So like I said, you can do a ton of different things in this program. So if you're interested in kind of looking at LLMs running on your local machine, now just remember, if you have a Mac, let's say you have an M1 or M2 or M3, I guess now, Mac, you're limited by the amount of RAM. So every Mac, I think, has 8 gigs as a minimum. So most of these models, at least the smaller ones, will run. It will tell you if it will run or not. It will say maybe not able to run. Like this one wouldn't be able to run on my Mac. It requires 16 gigs RAM. So that one, because I have a small Mac, that would not be able to run on my Mac Mini. This one can run on my big machine, the machine I'm on now. So, like I said, great little program. You can search, you can, I mean, all types of things. So if you guys want to play with LLMs more, I'll see if I can find a video too on how to use LM Studios, or I think it's LM or LLM Studios. Great program. Just, in my mind, it's almost like half GitHub and half Hugging Face. Like if they meant had a baby, this is what it would be. So it is really a nice program. It can do a lot of different things. I can do a demo if you guys want. I know not a lot of people are going to load LLMs locally, but if you do, this is a great way to start. Now, speaking of loading LLMs locally, while I didn't include it here, I did want to talk to you about security. There has been a couple. I got a security threat assessment, a security warning that certain Hugging Face models can be loaded with malicious code, allowing a hacker remote access to that machine. So now, if we just think about this logically, if we use Colab and we're not using really sensitive data, let me move this to full screen here. So if we're using Colab and we're not using really that sensitive data like UNLV's graduate handbook, if somebody gets into that machine, it sucks, but really not the end of the world. I can just reboot the I can reboot the VM. I can reboot Colab. Not a big deal. Okay, so that is one of the big advantages in many ways of a Colab, a SageMaker, any of these VM hosted applications, is that you have, in terms of security, it's much safer in many ways, because again, worst case scenario, just bounce the machine. I mean, it's a 3-second thing. So oh no, look, a bad hacker has had my GPT or whatever. This is, like I said, this is one of the notebooks I use in the Hugging Face thing. Oh look, a bad hacker. So I can literally just interrupt, or I can restart, or I can delete. I'm not worried about it, because hey, if I change it to this, save, guess what? Everything stops. Everything stopped, and I get a brand new machine. So that means I have to reload everything. Not a problem. I just hit run all, and boom. And if I know it's this particular Hugging Face model, that's not a model, but you know what I'm saying, I can just comment it out. Okay, so that's one really, really nice advantage. So LM Studio is for doing stuff like this, doing LM stuff on your local machine. Maybe you have 3070, 4090, 4080, 4070, one of these NVIDIA GPU cards, or some type of video card that has more memory, and you want to run it locally. That's an option. Maybe you want to run it on Colab and pay $10 a month or whatever it is for the better version. That's an option. Or there's tons of them. There's Paperspace, there's a ton of different ways to run an LLM or these models on the internet or locally. When you're running it locally, remember, you're inviting somebody else's code into your house. You're inviting somebody else's code onto your machine. Big models from Google, I'm not worried about. Models. So, well, that's a big model, but so let's just do some models. Let's go page. We'll do page 20. Okay, so this pixel art one right here, I have no idea who this is. I mean, again, it's got 60,000 downloads probably, so it's probably safe. But basically, I'm telling this guy or girl that, hey, you can run your code on my computer if I download this. Now, hopefully, this person's a decent enough person and is not going to take advantage of that. Brandon G. Nair. Here's his art. Looks like a reputable enough person. But again, I'm running his code on my local machine if I download it. If I run it Colab, a little less concerned, because again, if he gives me, if he tries to install backdoor, just bounce the machine, not a big deal. I'm not really in the mood to reformat my whole machine. So that's something to keep in mind. Like I said, there have been a couple, I don't know why my camera's so zoomed out. So there have been a couple security warnings this week about Hugging Face. So just keep that in mind. That, maybe test the code on Colab, then if it looks stable, download it or follow up on it. I did put an article on Web Campus about it, just something to be aware of. When you use Hugging Face and download these models, there's a lot of room for malicious intent. So let's see, what else do we have to go over? Okay, so LL Studio. Okay, fine tuning. Yeah, that's the notebook I showed you. And again, literally all I did was spaces and fine tuning. I don't know why I just kind of typed it. And I mean, you see there is, I don't know, a bunch of them. 5 pages of fine-tuning stuff, fine-tuning large language models. And like I said, my original idea was just to basically give you guys one of these and let you go. So, but like I said, there's really no need because now MyGPT can do the same thing. So, this week's discussion post is going to be about finding a space that you think is useful. But like I said, I think these are kind of underrated, and the only way to really kind of get you to appreciate these is to have you search for them. So, fine-tuning, what else do we have? Okay, so homework. Let's go over the homework here a little bit. So we have 2 homework assignments. Okay, so this one, that's a discussion. I bet I didn't even put it in. Oh, here we go. Exploring Hugging Face. Edit. Save. Okay, due March 31st, next Sunday. So basically, all I want you to do is explore Hugging Face spaces. Okay. I want you to find something that's kind of maybe unique to you. Something that you like, make sure it kind of works, or you can clone it and try to get it to working, and just write something about a brief 1 to 2 paragraph, why you like it, why you selected it, what you think is important about it, and include a couple of screenshots just to know that I saw you working with it. It can be a Word, it can be a PDF, I don't care. So you can just go in here, and there's some really crazy stuff in here. I mean, you could spend years looking through this stuff. So here's one I tried earlier, video persona. Okay. So I wasn't really sure what this is or how accurate it was, but I wanted to try it. This project breathes life into video characteristics by using AI to describe personalities and then chat with you as them, which is interesting. So the first thing you have to do is upload a video. I made a real quick little video today. 15 seconds. So literally I'm just going to drag it here. Okay, generate traits. So name John Smith, which is kind of weird. My name's he's a tall, thin man in his early 40s. He has short brown hair, blue eyes. I have actually no hair. He wears glasses, which is true. Military style shirt. I guess it's a different shirt than today. John grew up in a small town. Nope. So again, then what you can do is you can chat with that. Tell me more about him. Now, in the discussion, so 2 parts of this basically. In the discussion, you can do something like this. It's totally fine. Just send some screenshots. Say, hey, here is the discussion post. So that's one part. The discussion post, you just have to tell the class about space. For the assignment, basically very similar to the same thing. So you can double dip, that's totally fine. You can double dip, that's no problem. But this now talks about, I guess, me or that video, what it learned about me. And you've seen, I don't know what movie it was, but there's some movie where once a person dies, it can take like a map of their brain and then you can interact with them. When I saw this, that's the first thing I thought of. And I can't even remember the name of the movie. But there's a couple movies like after you die, you can interact with your loved ones. Dude, as soon as I read this, I'm like, this is freaky, but it's kind of cool. You can upload a picture or a video, I think a video or webcam of somebody, and it tells them, hey, here's John's children, John's friends, I can interact with them, all based on a video. Interesting idea. Now, this may not be something I am particularly interested in, and I may not see this particular thing very useful, but let me pose this question to you. How about if we run this on Amazon on the reviews of products, and then I say, hey, find products from people that are similar to me. And then boom, it finds all these reviews from people that have similar interests to me. Very, very, very useful. People are more likely to buy things from people that are like them than people that are not like them. You can do the same thing for college admissions. Hey, these were the 10 past successful graduate students. Here's 50 videos I want you to look at these videos and find which ones are closest, like literally like a vector, to these top 10 graduates. You know, I mean, this is literally creating kind of like maybe a fake persona based on a video it sees, which is really crazy. I mean, the foundation of this, the general idea is crazy, but really interesting. So let me show you the homework real quick. Okay, so here is the homework, and then there is the discussion right here. Okay, so very similar, very, very similar. Slightly different, but very similar. Okay, so for the homework assignment, again, go to Hugging Face Spaces, find something that you like, tell me why you like it, send a couple screenshots. I'm easy. So that's done. That homework has to be uploaded by next Sunday. Okay? So that's your homework. Now, for the discussion I'm much, much more liberal on, so you can take as much freedom as possible. If it's not safe for work, or if it's a very like weird model, please warn the class. Say, hey, this is a sensitive model, blah blah blah. This is a bad joke telling model, whatever it is. Okay, but this is a little bit different. Basically, you're still going to go to Hugging Face Spaces, but when you find a model, or when you find a space, I want you to find ones that are more esoteric, more strange, more creative, more like that one, the one I showed, the video personality. That would work for both. Okay, but if you find something that's just like, oh my god, this is so crazy, blah blah blah, you know, there's ones that can make your cat talk. I mean, there's all types of crazy things. Just tell us about it. Remember, by Thursday, you have to tell us about it. What makes it interesting? What do you like about it? Show us how to use it. You know, and it can just be, hey, you just have to upload a video to this and hit click. That works for us. So again, the discussion, I want you to motivate your fellow students. Basically, where AI meets sci-fi. Okay. Then for the discussion, the reply, you know, you can always say, hey, what makes this unique? You know, how can we use this? And, you know, last week's discussion when people talked about Spotify being weird and, I don't know, slick deals, things like that, you know, how can we integrate some of the things that these students found, that our coworkers or our friends found, and how can we use them? So that's generally the discussion. So just, this week you're going to spend a lot of time on Hugging Face Spaces. You know, one for my assignment, one for the discussion. You know, if it's creative enough, you can use it for the both. You can use two different ones. I don't care. Additionally, you have April 2nd, the group teach back is due. Okay? So, the draft. I should put draft in there. So basically, the group teach back, or the group teaching project, this circles back to business. And I know I've said this once or twice, but in business, it's very, very, very important for data people and leaders and MBAs, and especially today's world, for us to be able to articulate abstract ideas or to be able to take something we know and share it with others. That's all I want from this. I don't care how complex what your teaching is or how simple it is. I care more about the method you teach. Can I understand it? Are the visualizations clear and clean? Sorry about that. I'm more interested in your conveyance of information and knowledge than what you convey. Okay? So again, now not all of this is due. The only thing that's due this week is just like a draft saying, hey, or sorry, it's April 2nd, I should say. So that's like next Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm not sure. Basically a draft of the handout, okay? So, well, let me actually find that real quick for you, and we'll talk about that. Okay, so all that's technically due the second, and I would just do it this week. And again, only submit, I think it is one per group. Yes, one per group. So first you have to, A, communicate with your group, talk to all your members, figure out who's on your group, make sure you've been in contact with them. Number one. Number two, figure out what you're going to teach. And you can change it down the road, but just in general, what are you going to teach the class? Number three, who are you planning to teach it to? Are you planning to teach it to like nerds, like the class, like us? You're planning to teach it to CS people that are even more nerdy? You're planning to teach it to, last semester I had one that taught to architects.
So architects might not be great at computers. I mean, they may know CAD, but they may not be as good, with data. We'll say that as computers. You're planning to teach it to high school students. Okay, you could write suicide prevention and an anti-bullying GPT and demonstrate it to high school students and high school teachers. That would be the target audience. What problem does it solve? Hey, often, maybe students don't know who to turn to, or they don't feel comfortable talking to a peer, so having an interactive chat bot might help. So that's basically all I need. It's just like a one-page, or a PowerPoint of these basic ideas. What are you going to teach? Who are you going to teach it to? And basically, kind of what are you going to teach? So now, let's go back to this, the teach back. So you look at this and it's like, whoa, you got a lot to do. It's like the big NLP problem. My suggestion to you is go to YouTube and type MIS 776. And you can see students from last semester. Okay? Again, this person's in my class right now. They did great last semester. I'm sure they're going to do great this semester. But here's a little 10-minute proposal. They did, I think, on Tableau or sentiment analysis.
Areas of improvement I say you need to go through quick processing steps. One of them being to remove punctuation, especially.
Here's Tableau. All right, Austin's also in our class, I believe, right now.
We've decided to cover Tableau a little bit more. Tableau and have
Okay. So there's probably 10 of these. I can probably find you more if you want, but if you just Google YouTube, go to YouTube, MIS 776. This is another tutorial on statistics. Great tutorial, I love that one. What else? So like I said, there's a bunch of little things in here. So like I said, that might give you some help if you have questions about this. Again, it's more important of how you teach and the information you're conveying, not necessarily what you teach. So I just want to be really clear on that. So let's see, what else do we have to go over? So remember, homework, spaces, discussion, hug and paste spaces. April 2nd, the draft teach back. And like I said, the draft doesn't have to be a video. I prefer it not to be a video. It just has to be like maybe a one-page document, a couple of slides on PowerPoint, whatever, just to tell me that you're working on it. That's all I really need. So by now, you guys have hopefully all contacted your group. You have an email, text message, however you want to do it. WeChat, I don't care. You need to be able to figure out how to work as a group efficiently. I don't care if one person presents, another person does PowerPoints. Again, you guys are adults. You're in graduate school. You figure that out. Okay? 2 more miscellaneous things. I talked about Alteryx. There's a free show pass for Alteryx. Can I copy that? I bet I can't copy that. Alteryx sessions. Okay, let me just pull this up real quick. Session catalog. Now, I think that was last year. Alteryx sessions 2024. Okay, now we're going. There's no nicer way to say this. I generally hate conferences. Last year, my company paid for me to go for this one, and it was, I think, like $3,000 or $4,000. It was a lot of money. And this is a good conference. Tableau is a good conference. So what do I look for in a conference? I don't care about your product. I don't care what you're trying to sell me. None of that's helpful. Show me how to get things done. Teach me something I don't know today. That is how you make a good conference. If you took this class on, the very first day versus the very last day, I'm hoping you have considerably more information. Hopefully you have skills now that you can do things. That's what I want from a conference. It's like a class, just in 3 or 4 days. So, Alteryx conference was really good last year. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of spatial analysis, like how to do COVID vaccines by, when a person has to get a COVID shot, what is the closest CVS or Walgreens to them? Because it might not be in a circle, because again, you might live on somewhere where the road might not take you directly to the closest CSV or closest pharmacy. What do I mean by that? So if you have an address like UNLV and you just draw a circle around it, that might not always be the nearest X, Y, and Z. If you can take UNLV and overlay like TomTom maps or road maps and say, hey, to get to point A to point B, this is quicker than the circle, much better method. So I learned that. I learned about how to look at cell phones, towers, and figure out what ones are going to make the most money and how to optimize that. Very useful. I mean, there's just a bunch of really great, those are training sessions which you have to pay for, but there are a bunch of great sessions. So let's just look here at some of the things we could learn, okay? So this is what you'd get. The conference only $1,600 ticket. I can get you this for free. Session catalog right here. Okay, so session track. Data and analytics best practice. I don't know, just click on one. Or public sector. You know, I know a couple people in this class are interested in education, how to use data to further education, or special programs, certificates, trainings. Okay, so let's see. Data stack, the roadmap to building with the cloud. It's that easy, powerful SAP. So SAP is another program that can be integrated, super powerful. A secret of Rockstar. So this is how certain people, you know, supply chain. I mean, I know 3 people or 4 people in this class are working on supply chain analytics right there. Alteryx analytics for IT leaders. You know, practical deep dive. Version control, which is kind of like GitHub. Yep, see GitHub. So how to use Alteryx and GitHub. So a lot of different things. Business transformation. So let's see what we have in here. Advanced audit. So Alteryx is used a lot by accountants and auditing firms. So there's a lot of that. Generative AI revolution business value. So again, there's a lot of good stuff. This is all for free. Okay, so just if you want to go, just hit me up, email me. That's the best way. You can see there's a ton of, so you don't get training, but product insight theater, I think you can get all these. So AI-driven insights for customer lifetime value and churn. I remember reading 2 different papers on churn rate for the research project. So right here is how to do churn rate better. Yes. You know, there's accounting, AI in practice. So there's a lot of good things. So again, they're going to use Alteryx as a tool, but it doesn't really matter because anything you do in Alteryx, you do in Python. Alteryx is just faster. So keep that in mind. If you guys want to go, it is May 13th to 16th. I am speaking on a panel at 12:30 that Tuesday. You're welcome to, I think, attend. You should be able to attend. So if you want to go, just email me. I'll get you the pass. I'll email you the code. You just register like a normal adult. You put in the code and it's free. Another thing too, and I hate to say this, I know some of you guys are looking for jobs. Sometimes it's good to register for these things, even if you do or don't show up, because they sell your name to other companies. Like, hey, this person's dumb enough to spend $2,000 to learn about data. Maybe we should hire him. So sometimes going to these conferences can lead to secondary job opportunities, because again, they sell your information to, you know, Snowflake. They may sell your information to SAP, and you know, once your information gets out there, hey, this person's an analyst. It does help. Also, this Friday, which is, I don't know, 25th, 6th, something else like that, I'm speaking at 1 p.m. or noon at a neuroscience class. So I'm talking to new graduate students at UNLV related to how AI and science are related. How can AI make your journey as a scientist easier and more efficient? If you want to attend that, just let me know. It's a web link. I think it's Zoom. I can send you a link to that one. So if you want to attend that, that's more AI and science, how AI can help science, or how AI can help you as a scientist, and a little bit of the job market in that one. And then this is just a panel discussion. So, you know, again, just email me. And that's it. So let's see if there's any other open tabs I want to cover. So the fine-tuning notebook, super cool. What else? Video to persona, kind of creepy, but very cool. I don't think I gave you an assignment on collections. Originally I think extra credit is on collections this week. And I think that is it. Yeah, go to YouTube, type MIS 776, watch some of these great videos that other students have put up. Let me know if you guys have questions. Please start working on this group teaching project, because working in a group,
while it seems like it should speed up things, sometimes one member of the group can slow everything down. So I just want to make sure that you guys have at least an outline and things are ready to go forward by the 2nd. Like I said, spend some time looking at spaces. There's a ton of spaces. So sort by, I don't know, recently updated. Crazy hair. I don't know why I thought about that, but just type crazy hair. Probably nothing. Crazy fun. My internet not working today? What is going on? Crazy. There we go. Comment review. Let's see here. And you just, like I said, start looking at some of these. Hot dog or not. So this is, this looks at a picture and sees if it's a hot dog or not. Kind of weird. There's spell checking. There's a reverse I mean, there's all types of really cool things in here. So please take some time and find some really cool stuff. Stable Diffusion is super popular. I know you guys have used that. I mean, there's 7,000 pages of this stuff. Code Formatter. So that's like, there's a website called Beautiful, and it basically makes your code readable, I guess. Web GPU Video Background Remover. So Bark. So this upload a video and it does like, I think it converts your barking or mimics your barking, but you have to upload like a song, I think, or there's a different one where you upload like a video of your dog barking and it kind of like changes it to make it more realistic, I guess. So there's a bunch for animals. So look at spaces, really play around with spaces, because again, I think what you're going to see in the future, voice cloning is so cool, is things like this are going to be built into the operating system. Things like this are going to be built into programs. In the very beginning of this lecture, you saw how easy it was for me to create a fine-tuned MyGPT. What if voice cloning could be built right into your phone, or it could be built into anything, which it can be. I mean, you know, what words would you like to say? You know, I don't know. And then just upload an audio clip and you sound like, I don't know, Matt Damon. Okay, so look around spaces. You have 2 assignments related to spaces this week. Let me know if you guys have problems. Let me know if you have questions. Hopefully this week's not too overwhelming. Everyone did good on the research project. Everyone did good on the midterm. You guys are doing good. Just keep moving forward.